I'm Jay Price. I'm the director of the Public History program at Wichita State University. I'm also an associate professor in the Department of History, where I specialize in social and cultural trends in the 20th century. What I do at Wichita State is a balance of academic work and work geared for the general public. And so my job is to be in some ways a liaison with the community and with the state as a whole. My major project is a study of religious architecture after World War II. I'm interested in those churches and synagogues constructed in the 1940s, the 1950s, and the 1960s. Those buildings that we often drive by and a lot of people don't even like, but tell us an awful lot about the society that produced them. Public history refers to a family of activities whose common goal is to bring historical scholarship, research, and understanding to audiences in a variety of non-academic settings. One of the things we want to do with the public history program is get students involved with these projects. And so I encourage students to go to conferences, to do their own writing, to do their own research. And it's important for them to learn by being out in the field and knowing what we as professional historians do on an everyday basis. And then they realize it's not all on Wikipedia and it's not all on the internet. That for local and community history, you still have to get out and talk to people and look at clippings that people probably haven't considered in over 100 years. One of the things that we emphasize here is state and local history. We encourage our students to get out into the community, in many ways looking at the Wichita area as a laboratory to understand larger historical trends. I often say I don't pick subjects, the subjects pick me. It's about hearing a voice of something that hasn't been covered, perhaps in as much depth as it should have been, or has been forgotten for a number of years, and it seems worth talking about. And so I find oftentimes the subjects that are the most interesting and the most worthwhile to study are the ones that I hear about happenstance while working on other projects. My current project involves a team of students as well as another colleague in the department looking at the social history of tornadoes in Kansas. Kansas is one of those states associated with the cyclone or the tornado, and we want to look at those images of how Kansas is associated with that, particularly given the fact that we have the Wizard of Oz and so many other facets to our story. One of the parts of the project, though, is that each member of the team has to go through storm spotter training. A recent project that I've worked on involves the Lebanese community here in Wichita. It's a community that's hidden in plain sight in many ways, and I worked with a colleague in the community as well as with a student who's of the Lebanese community to produce a photo history called Wichita's Lebanese Heritage. And the project is designed to get people aware of the various families here in the community. Many times people will look at the book and say, I didn't realize this family or this individual was Lebanese, and yet they're so incredibly important to how Wichita has functioned. Technology has totally transformed how a historian's job takes place these days. I remember being in grad school and asking the difference between this internet and the web and email, and I wasn't sure what these all were. Today, of course, so many documents are online and are digitized. It's so easy to get a lot of good reference material for your research in a manner and a scale that's unprecedented. For example, when you wanted to do community research, genealogical research, and use the census, time was you had to go down to the library, go through microfilm, actually a microfilm index, and then go to the actual microfilm page. Today, through a number of systems, you can sit at home in the middle of the night and look up genealogical information on the census, download it without ever leaving your bedroom. I think it's the complexity of Kansas that needs to get more attention. Kansas is known for bleeding Kansas, the 1850s, but the sesquicentennial offers us an opportunity to think about what Kansas is and what Kansas will be, not just what Kansas was. Because the story of Kansas doesn't end with the Civil War. As a matter of fact, it begins it. And so it's important for us to look at a range of stories: the settlement of the West, the cattle trails, our relations with Native Americans, but also the role of people like Carl Schmitt and Adam Rettelheimer, who brought the German settlers to Kansas, the African American settlers in Nicodemus, and even looking at communities from a range of backgrounds who arrive in the 20th century as well. And it's important to remember how that mixture makes us who we are. Ultimately, Kansas is at that place where the South, the North, the West, the Midwest, and the Southwest all meet, and our stories share the stories of those other regions.